Greetings, fellow programmers. This is Pavel, and this is a C# exercise. This is an object-oriented C# exercise. We'll be doing some creating some classes and objects, using some inheritance properties and all the other good C# object-oriented programming stuff. So here's what we're creating. We are to design a class named person with the properties for name, address, and phone number. Then we will design a class customer, which derives, in other words, it inherits from the person class. There should be some properties for the customer number, like an ID, email, the spend amount, which is how much the money the customer spends, and a Boolean variable that actually holds true or false whether the customer wants to be on the email list. Then there will be some bonus structure. It says if the customer spends 500 or more, up to 1,000, then 5% discount, and so forth. When he spends over 2,000, then he gets 10% discounts. So that's gonna be in our preferred customer class, which derives from customer class. So we will have three classes: person, customer, and preferred customer. So person will be our base class, basically, because all these classes will inherit directly or indirectly from person. Alright, there will be some the discount level variable. There's gonna be a read-only property. That's what it says, so we'll create that. And there will be a function called calculate amount, which calculates the amount with the current discount level. In other words, if the customer spends $1,000, we will also include the 6% discount. So that would be what, $60 less as a spend amount. We will create CustomerDemo class, which is the program itself with the main function, because all this data will be coming from a text file called CustomerInfo.txt. So we will be using dynamic array of preferred customer objects with all the information. Basically, we will create object of each customer and place it into an array, and then there's gonna be a menu, a little menu that will either the user can press 1 and display the customer information. In other words, the user enters the customer ID, presses 1, and then all the information for that customer are displayed. And then there's option 2, which basically will update the total amount with the correct discount level. In other words, like I said, if there's $1,000 spent, we will incorporate the 6%, and then we will the 6% discount into the spend amount. So it's gonna be 1,000 minus 60, which is going to be obviously 940, and then we will update the text file with the new spend amount. All right, so that's quite a lot to do, but yep, let's start anyway, because now is the good time to do it. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna rename this class to I forgot what I wanted to call it, the demo class or something, CustomerDemo. So CustomerDemo instead of program. And I'm going to create our first class. Well, first, actually, sorry, I put the CustomerInfo text file into my bin/debug folder, and this is how it looks. It's basically 5 names, an address, phone number, customer ID, which customer ID is A00001 or 0002. It's a string, it's not an integer, just so you remember that. Then there's the email address, then there's the spend amount in like 2,500 or 495, 1,200, and so forth, and true or false for the whether they want to be on the email list. All these are separated by semicolon, because we couldn't use a comma, obviously, because the commas are used within the, let's say, the address. So that would we couldn't use that as a separator between each of the data. We couldn't use space, obviously, because there's spaces in the address and the name. So any special character that is not used otherwise can be used as the separator, so I'm just using the semicolon, that's all. So I mean, you could use literally any key. You could use a number or a, I don't know, letter Q if there was no Q's in the file. So I'm gonna create a class, and the first one is going to be the class called person. So let's do that. Person, and I'm gonna make it public, and in it I'm going to create the properties. For the class person, the exercise asks to create a customer name. I'll just make the get. Oh, I'm out of. Sorry, I have to copy it inside of the brackets, of course. And set. That's the first property. The second one. Now this is a person, so every person, like, it could be expanded later, not just for customers. It could be for employees as well, or something. So they wouldn't have any spent like amount or anything like that, but they would all have the name, address, and phone. That's why we are putting these 3 properties into our base class person, because it's being shared across really any person that we would have in our database. So address is the next one, get and set. And finally we have string phone. It's a string because there's dashes in the numbers, and we don't do any mathematical operations against the phone number, so it's always better to just have a string. So that's our properties, but I'm gonna also create, of course, the constructor of person, and it expects the name. So it's gonna be string name, string address, and string phone. And now we can assign these properties to the values that are being passed into the constructor. So our customer name will now equal the name. That's the set part of these properties. We are setting customer name to name. So because there's a equal, which basically triggers the set portion of the property or the method. So our address equals address, and our phone equals phone. Alright, that's our person class, and I don't think we need anything else there. So the next one is a customer class. So let's create add one. I'm gonna create add class and call it customers, or just customer, because we're creating one at a time, obviously. And this one it will have properties. It's gonna be a string customer ID. That's the what I call it, a customer spend amount. The customer should have customer number. Well, okay, that's customer ID. That's good enough, I guess. So we get and set, and that's public string customer email that they want us to have, and public, that's the spent money. Now in the text file that the exercise using, the spent is all integers. There's no cents, it's all whole amounts. So I'm gonna actually use just integer. Normally you would obviously use double or decimal, maybe, if you were dealing with the money, but in this case, since they're all whole numbers, I can use integer. So I was going to spend amount is the name of this property that I'll call it, get and set. And finally there was one more, that was the boolean, whether the customer wants to be on email list or is on email list. So on email list, it's gonna be true or false. So, but it's still a property, so we will get and set. So I can come and I can create my constructor. for customer, customer, and since we are inheriting, which I forgot to do, customer inherits from person, I have to create the base constructor as well, because see, and it already expects string, name, address, and phone number. So I have to collect those and pass them to our base. So I'm gonna expect string name, string address, string phone, and these three I will pass into our person constructor, because person constructor expects name, address, and phone. So I have to pass it there. So it's gonna be name, address, and phone. But I'm also, obviously, for my customer class, I also need to get the string ID and string email, and also string, actually sorry, integer spend amount, and boolean on email list. And these I will initialize in this constructor. In other words, these three are just being passed as is. Whatever the value are being passed into this constructor are then passed into the constructor of the person class, and the other arguments for this constructor I'm going to initialize here into my properties that I created. So our customer ID equals ID, our customer email equals email, our spend amount equals the spend amount, and on email list equals the on email list. So that would be our class, but there's one more thing. If you remember, this class is supposed to have a function that it needs to be overwritten called calculate amount. Now the calculate amount is going to be used in the preferred customer class that we didn't create yet, and that will update the amounts based on the discount level. However, that's the calculate amount is going to be also used for our customers, which kind of will hold the amount before the discount is being applied, and then overwritten later in the preferred customer class. I'm trying to here it is. It also includes a function named calculate amount that calculates the spent amount. So in our customer, which is going to be the base class for our preferred customer, we will create a public virtual because we are going to be overriding it in our next class, which is the preferred customer class. It will return double because it's going to return the amount. I'll just call it the calculate amount. And in this over here, it's simply I'm outside of the class. I'm sorry. Like, once again, I'm not in the right brackets. So over here we'll simply return the spent amount, because that's the amount that we have from the file before the discount is being applied. Alright, so this is our customer class. I don't think we need anything else for that. And now we can start creating the preferred customer class. And we'll do that in the next video. So watch the next part if you want to know how this ends. I know it's one of those great things that you just can't wait to see the ending. Who is the murderer? Is it the customer or is it the preferred customer? Well, anyway, you'll see it in the next part. Take care.